Hey there, everyone. Justin Jocks here from the Wedding Insider Podcast. Today I have Aaron Goss, formerly of Calculated Style. Now it's just Aaron Goss, right?
Just Aron now, yeah.
Okay, cool. He's an award winning photographer from the International Society of Wedding Photographers and Fearless Photographers. Is that right?
hmm
And my favorite award that you've won is you were voted the best photographer in the world by your own mom.
Yeah, I had to work harder for that one. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So let's get started and just give everyone kind of a background of where you got started in photography and how you ended up being a wedding photographer.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been shooting professionally since 2009, early 2009. That's when I first started actually taking money for gigs. I've been shooting forever. I think you get that from a lot of people. We grew up taking pictures. It was something we always did. We had film growing up. My dad almost became a photographer. Um, he shot, growing up our entire lives, but it wasn't something that he ever decided to take on as a career. So I'm lucky I was able to do this for a living. Still am.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
cool. So, yeah, I mean, like, how did you end up moving into weddings? Like, I have basically, it seems like for a lot of photographers, you do a few friends and then you end up realizing that you can do it on the side, or did you just, is that kind of where you moved into when you decided that that's what you wanted to take on as your profession?
I've only really ever been interested in taking pictures of people.
Okay,
So
cool.
I don't take a lot of pictures of mountains and water and still life. It's always been people and just trying to tell uh, stories. Weddings just kind of made sense. Um, Weddings allowed me to tell a story, to shoot people, which I've always been drawn to, but also to be able to take pictures that mean so much to people, and pictures that people are going to treasure forever. So I was interested in weddings right from the start. So that's always been my goal. I really only shoot weddings still. That's definitely where my passion is. So yeah, I don't shoot a lot of models and I don't shoot a lot of babies and families. While I have shot some of them, it's primarily just been for previous clients. Other than that, weddings is probably 95% of my business.
Cool.
hmm
All right, so we're back. We had some technical issues. We're just trying to make sure we got the best audio possible. And Aaron went and grabbed a different computer, and now we're going to continue the interview. So we left, yeah, and hopefully everything comes through that we're saying. So we left off just with how can a couple find like an awesome photographer? What should they be looking for when they're looking for a photographer?
The big thing for me when I meet a client, I don't want them coming to me hoping to see more pictures. I'm going to assume that you've already gone through a ton of my work online. It's all up there. I'm happy to share galleries as well if people request it. When I meet with clients for my meetings, I'm hoping that we're just feeling each other out personality wise. I want to make sure that I'm the kind of person you want to have around on your wedding day. I know I'm not the perfect photographer for everybody, but I hope that I'm the perfect photographer for the clients that do hire me.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to spend a lot of time with them. I want to get an idea of their personality, of their sense of humor, to see if there's that comfort level there. That's really what I would push clients to spend a lot of time doing. We spend so much time with them on their wedding day, and in a lot of really intimate moments. I want to make sure you feel completely comfortable and completely trusting when I'm there shooting on your wedding day. Um, it's funny. I usually spend more time with the bride on her wedding day than the groom will. So
Yeah.
um, you've got to love your photographer, and you have to feel completely comfortable that they're going to be able to handle your friends and family the way you want your friends and family to be handled. Essentially, we're the only guest at a wedding that isn't truly invited. We're just there as a vendor, um, an important vendor, but just a vendor. So I would want all my clients to know that they feel completely comfortable if they're not around and I'm there moving their family around or just interacting with their guests, that they feel comfortable knowing that I'm going to treat them like they were my family as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy how I mean, just having photographer friends and talking to photographers, how many intimate moments you're there for, where you know, you're there when the bride's putting on her dress. You're there when her mom sees her for the first time, or her dad sees her for the first time, and when the groom sees them for the first time, and all these like really important moments. And you're sometimes the only other person there for some of those moments. And yeah, it is. I think having that personality match is super important, especially with somebody that you're going to be with all day long and working in such a intimate, um, I guess, way.
Completely, absolutely.
So where do you think that if brides and grooms are just kind of starting their search, do you have a place that you would suggest for them to go if they're looking for a photographer? Like how where do they search? Like there's so many options it seems, and do you have any
There's a
ideas?
ton of options. Referrals are huge. I would definitely speak to your friends, speak to your family, find out who worked for them is definitely a great place to start. If you if you don't want to be so pigeonholed with regards to what vendors your friends and family might have contact with, then definitely the next best spot would probably be a wedding planner. Wedding planners know um, how to match a client's budget to the talent level that's available. So if they're feeling like they're not finding the quality of photography that they're looking for, with a simple, basic um, Google search,
Yeah.
then definitely I would consider bringing in a planner, talking to a planner, let the planner know what your vision is, what your budget is, and that's the planner's job to match those and make sure that you don't just get lucky finding a photographer that ranked very high on Google, that you actually find the right photographer that will work best for your personality, for your vision, and for your budget.
Cool. Yeah. So when they're like, I think planners are awesome, and I think they have a huge amount of knowledge around vendors, especially, and just to navigate that. It doesn't seem like it would be overwhelming. I think until people get a little bit into it, and
It's
then
completely overwhelming.
yeah,
It's completely overwhelming. And I'm going to say, hopefully, it's everyone's going through this for the first time.
yeah,
So there's so many questions that come up that I find most of my clients don't know how to answer. And when I got married, I didn't know how to answer those questions either.
hmm,
People would ask me, "What's your budget?" You don't even know where to start sometimes. You don't even know how you can interact with vendors. What vendors are you able to haggle on price, perhaps? How many hours are really required for photography coverage? What's a good price to be spending for specific vendors? So wedding planners are worth their weight in gold, both for coordination on the day of, but especially for planning.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned that just before we started the interview that you started now shooting both film and some digital.
Mhm.
Um, what what difference does that bring to images? And like also, can you kind of describe like your style and what are some options for if people are looking at different wedding photographer styles?
I have such a hard time describing my style or anybody else's, really. I shoot the kind of pictures that I really enjoy with the hopes that I find clients that like what I like. So to try to say that I shoot, specific things, I'm definitely not a photojournalist. A photojournalist is more someone who doesn't interact that much with the clients and doesn't really touch things. I like to massage the day a little bit. So I don't want to change the day too much, but I want to make sure that we get everything we need that's required for that day. So if a groom goes and hugs his bride, I'll be like, let's do it again, but let's do it over here. I just like making sure we get what we need. Where a photojournalist would stand back, just take pictures and hope they sort of got what they needed.
Mm-hmm.
So I like knowing that I'm getting what's expected of me. But with regards to my style, it changes every year. Uh, I honestly just take pictures that I like taking because if I don't, I find I get burnt out really, really quick.
Yeah.
I've started incorporating a lot more film lately, um, but partially that's just for me. And it sounds horrible, but I need to love the job that I'm doing. I need to be excited to shoot those weddings. So by incorporating film, by incorporating things that get me excited, um, it relays essentially back onto the clients when they get their work back.
Cool.
Mhm.
Um, what I mean, we kind of talked about now. Obviously, getting to know your photographer before you even hire them is a huge thing because they need to feel comfortable in front of the camera.
Yep.
Um, is there other things that couples can do? They've hired the photographer. They know that they're going to be getting, they're getting married. What can they do to get the
This
best?
is happening.
Yeah, this is going to happen. What can they do to get like the best photos possible? Is there other tips that you can share with them?
Yeah, absolutely. A big one is just to trust your photographer.
Ah, yeah.
Trust what they're doing. Spend a lot of time and work really, really hard ensuring that you're getting the photographer that you want. But once you've done that and the wedding day comes, the best thing that you can really, really do is let them work the way they work best. So when you start limiting them, you're really limiting your own pictures. So that would definitely be number one. Trust is huge. There are times where I've had clients say almost second guess um, how I'm posing them or how I'm setting them up. So trust goes a long, long way.
Hmm.
Um, work hard. Work hard for your pictures. Your photographer is going to work really, really hard with you. But if you meet them halfway, you get so much more out of your images. So be willing to work hard. Be willing to spend an extra 15 minutes, getting some extra pictures if you can. Be willing to go out for a night picture later in the night if you're up for it. The harder you work, the more pictures generally you'll receive. Um, I would also say limit the alcohol early in the day. It sounds horrible because it's such a big party, and I don't want to take anything away from that party, but if you can have the party happen during party time and um, especially for your bridal party, if they can be more involved and excited and interested rather than already in party mode and kind of past all of that, um, limiting the alcohol until the reception will go so far. So that's something that I try to suggest to all my couples. Obviously, the ultimate decision is up to them, but it goes a long way.
Yeah, that's a super good tip.
Yeah,
I don't think it's something that people even really think about because they just want to party a lot of the time, and uh, you can definitely tell when people are, one drink or two drinks. I don't think it's going to be the end of the world, but a few drinks or beyond, you can definitely tell in photos. They just don't, you don't look your
absolutely.
best.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's definitely a big thing. I would also make sure the clients invest. Um, I'd like to say invest in your photographer, but most clients can't have the best of everything. I would
Yeah,
figure out what's really, really important to you and invest in those couple things rather than trying to have the best of everything or budget everywhere. So, figure out what's important to you and spend maybe a little extra money on what's really, really important to you. And then know that you've invested as much as possible towards those products.
yeah, no, I that's another thing I wholeheartedly agree with. I don't think. I mean, I'm a bit of a premium DJ service, and I don't think I'm at all worth it for a lot of people. But for people that really care about music, then yeah, like this is spend your money on something you care about for sure.
Absolutely.
And
Yep.
I think the same thing for people that really are going to care about their images.
Yep.
You do get what you pay for a lot of the time. So ba, ba, ba. Okay, so what? I mean, I've seen some of your award-winning photos. They look awesome.
Thank you.
Um, Obviously, you've picked those out to submit to into contests and stuff like that. And how do you like what defines an awesome wedding photo for you? I guess.
Three things. Um, lighting is number one.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Lighting is photography. If you don't have good light, you don't have a good shot. The moment could be, the best moment in the world, um, but without good light, it's really half of what the picture could be.
Hmm.
So lighting is always number one. Composition is number two. It needs to be interesting. Um, layers in the frame are completely interesting to me, um, but also directing the viewer on where they should be looking at an image is huge. So, when I'm talking about composition, I might see something a specific way, and now it's my goal to capture that in the way that I see it, and know that when someone looks at my image, that they're looking exactly where I want them to look. So composition's huge. Um,
Is there anything a couple can do to help you with that?
Trust.
Yeah, same thing. Okay.
Yeah, just trust. I mean, you're hiring an artist to create a specific look. Um, So take them for the word. Just work with the photographer and know that, I mean, ultimately we have the same goal.
Hmm.
I want them to look as good as possible and they want to look as good as possible. So I'm never going to do something or I'm never going to suggest something that is going to make them look any other way than awesome, at least
Yeah,
awesome
yeah.
in my eyes and hopefully theirs. So yeah, just trust is huge. Um, and another element that makes a great photograph for me is truth. I think that's been the biggest thing I've been working on for the past couple of years, where I loved my compositions and I enjoyed my lighting, but I found that couples sometimes were posed in a way that it didn't reflect them. So, over the past 3, 4 years, I've worked really, really hard on setting up an image the way I want, and then telling a really, really bad joke that I know will still make them laugh. So now I have this great image that also shows who they are and them being comfortable and being themselves. So truth goes a long, long way, especially in just a documentary type image, a candid image. Just being able to show people when they're at ease and showing people when their guard is down. And that's what's so great about weddings is people will say a lot of things that they wouldn't normally say. Um, People who don't normally say "I love you" might take that chance on a wedding day because it's a
Hmm.
wedding day. So to be able to capture that means so much to my clients and to myself. So
Yeah,
uh,
cool.
to me, that's what makes a good picture. I'm sure it's different for a lot of people, but those three things are what I'm looking for in most of my frames.
Cool.
Yeah.
Um, Also, I'm sure we have some couples that are listening that are just started, just got engaged and are like, oh, cool, a podcast. Let's start there. So they might not even be the point where they have a venue. So, from a photographer's perspective, what should they be looking for in a venue so that they look best in their wedding photos and so that their surroundings look great too.
Such a great question. And what generally seems to happen is people book, they figure out a date, and then they book the venue, and then they book their photographer. I would love to see that swap around. I would love to see people book a photographer and then figure out a date that that photographer hopefully was available, and then use that photographer to help narrow down your venue options. Because who better to help a couple show what their venue is going to look like than their photographer?
Yeah.
So I love when clients let me come with them on their venue visits or show them what those specific venues look like in pictures and then let them decide afterwards rather than hoping and guessing that things will look really really good in pictures and there's a lot of elements that look great for venues and there's a lot of elements that look horrendous while they look good during the day when things get dark. How's it going to look?
Hmm.
So I would love to see more couples hire photographers first and then incorporate us into the venue planning.
Cool. I know
Mhm.
it's like obviously having a photographer's eye with you is going to, and somebody who's worked in the space before is going to be a huge advantage. If somebody doesn't have that opportunity, is there anything that like you particularly look for? Like, you know,
Natural light.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. I preferred a venue that doesn't have a lot of wood, especially when things get dark and we have to use a flash later on. Um, a flash and wood just don't seem
Hmm.
to get along too well. So that would be a huge thing. There's a couple of venues in Toronto as well that have black ceilings. I would definitely recommend not using those venues. Black sucks light. So those would be the big things that I would point out first.
Cool. Yeah, that is not something that hardly I think anyone would think about, but a photographer.
Yeah, that's fair.
The color of the ceiling.
Well, that light's going to reflect back onto your skin. So
Yeah.
yeah, all of a sudden your skin color takes on the color of that wood. So um, yeah, hire a photographer first. Please
Cool.
hire a photographer first.
Um. Okay. Yeah. So there's actually a question I've been asking everyone but Andrew, who's your office mate,
Yep.
because he was my first interview, and I meant to ask it, but I forgot. But I am trying to get three insider tips that wedding photographers know that most people don't,
Uh,
and it can be about photography or wedding photography, but it can just generally about a wedding, but just how to make your wedding amazing, kind of thing.
awesome question. Um, Number one, your makeup's going to run late. No matter what, your makeup's going to run late. I don't know how many weddings I've shot. I've never seen makeup be done on time. I'm sure they're trying. I'm sure they care. Um, it's never on time. And the biggest issue for a photographer is when the makeup runs late, that extra time now comes out of my time.
Yeah.
Dinner's not going to be held any later. Your guests aren't going to arrive any later. The rest of your timeline is not going to get pushed back any further. That time's going to be taken out of your portrait time. So I guess I'm talking more to makeup artists. You need more time than you think you need. As long as a couple builds in more buffer time into their day, it can only make them relax more. You need more time for absolutely everything on a wedding day than you think you need.
Hmm.
If traffic should probably take 10 minutes, give yourself 20. If makeup's going to take an hour, which it won't, you probably need two. Um, the more time, the better. The more time even just helps you relax. If you thought you had an hour and a half for pictures and now you have half an hour, 45 minutes, not only have you cut your time in half, but now the stress is going to show on your face.
Yeah, for sure.
So not only do you have less time, but you won't look as comfortable in your pictures. So buffer time goes a long, long way.
Yeah, that's huge. That's an awesome point. I love that.
What else? I would every time I meet with clients, it seems like they've all read the same tips online, which is totally cool, and I love that they're doing research. But the one thing that I will push back on is that an engagement session won't make you more comfortable on your wedding day. A good photographer will make you more comfortable on your wedding day. So you can shoot 6 times, but if you don't feel comfortable with the person you're working with, that's the biggest thing. Um, that will make you look normal and look natural and feel like you can be goofy or just be yourselves if you have a photographer who just happens to be someone that you would consider a friend around. So that's a big thing I've always sort of pushed back on. I love shooting engagements. Do I think you need an engagement to make you more comfortable on your wedding day? Not necessarily. Um, Another thing I would point out would be that you're not going to love every picture of yourself. I don't want couples to feel like if they have a picture where they don't enjoy the way they look in their pictures, that it's a failure on either party's behalf. We're going to give you a lot of diversity. We're going to shoot you in a lot of different ways, and some stuff you're going to absolutely love. And there's going to be other pictures that you don't love of yourself, and that's totally cool. Everybody sees themselves in a specific way, and everybody has features in themselves that they don't truly love. And in some pictures, those are going to be highlighted. It's okay to not love all of your pictures. It's up to you on which pictures you want to include in your album. It's up to you on which pictures you want to share online. So don't feel like you need to love absolutely every picture. Diversity is awesome.
Amazing. Sweet.
Cool.
Yeah, so far everyone's given me different thoughts, and I think they're all really great. Like things that you
Thanks
don't.
so much.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so
Cool.
much.
My pleasure.
Okay, so if anyone wants to get in touch, check out your photos or
Yeah.
say hello, how can they do that?
My website is arongoss.com. There's only one A in my name. Blame my parents, not me. It's arongoss.com. My email address is Aron, Arongoss. Aaron at arongoss.com. Phone number is 905-699-6049. But you can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. Just find me and say hello. I love meeting new people. So
Cool.
hopefully we get the chance.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
Cool.
I'm going to put together some show notes. Those can be found at indieweddingdj.com/podcast/Aaron with one A.
Awesome.
And also, if you're subscribed on iTunes, if you could just go and give me a rating, preferably 5 stars if you like us, but any rating helps. Just want to be able to spread the word to more couples, and the more ratings we get, the more. You don't even have to leave a review. You can just mark off the stars. It'd be greatly appreciated. So, Aaron, that's it. Thanks so much for joining us. I think the information you shared is going to be super helpful. I really, really liked it. It was great.
Cool. The pleasure's all mine. It was awesome to meet you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, my pleasure. Talk to you later.
Thanks, buddy.